Hi everyone, Erin Harwood here from Garden Delights Herb Farm, and I'm here to show you our herbal distillation setup and show you how it works and what's going into it and what's coming out of it as well. So let me flip you around and I'll get you a close-up view. So here you can see the main flask, which has distilled water in it. It's really important to use distilled water first. Anything that might come in your tap water, chlorine, fluoride, anything else, that will end up in your final products that you've distilled. So starting with distilled water is really best. Things are really boiling here, and so you can actually see steam that's starting to be produced. That steam will make its way up through here and into our other big flask, which currently has fresh roses, fresh tulsi, and fresh lemon balm in it. And a lot of times you will read or hear or see things where they're just doing a single herb. If you're going to purchase commercial hydrosols, then that will also only have one herb. And that's a really great way to start. We've done this enough times that we decided we wanted to try something a little bit different. And we were really inspired by what was out in the garden fresh right now. And so we decided to mix it. Right here between the two flasks, now that there is a lot of condensation, it might be kind of hard to see, but right there by my finger, there's actually a little rolled up piece of wire mesh. And that just helps keep herbs from up in this flask falling down into this flask. What will fall down into this lower flask over time are any type of materials that are picked up in the steam and then condensed down that are heavy. And so over time, this water down here will actually turn color, which is kind of interesting, but it's not stuff that you're going to want. And so you'll actually end up just composting it or using it to water some of your plants. Oftentimes tannins, those are really kind of like heavier plant parts that you're going to end up within that flask. And so it changes it a dark color, and then you're going to just compost that. So there's our fresh herbs. You can start to see some water that's condensing here, and there is steam moving its way up through here. As we let this distillation continue, your plant material will probably shrink by at least half, as a lot of the nice water-based constituents or parts of the plants actually get picked up and into the steam. And so then the steam will actually move its way up through here, make a turn, and then go down here into the condensing unit. So in the condensing unit, there are actually two different sort of like pipes, I guess. And so coming off, there's this one tube, and then there's this tube. That is actually connected over here to our aquarium pump, and it is pumping cold water. So these are cold ice packs, and there's just regular tap water because it's not going to touch or come in contact with your distillation that you're doing. And so it's just pumping continuously cold water in through the bottom and then out through the top and just cycling it through. And what that does is that inner tube in this condensing unit has your steam with all of your good herbal stuff in it. And so that's the cold water on the outside, it's surrounding that inner tube. And that's going to end up helping that steam with all of your good herbal stuff in it to condense and turn in from a vapor into a liquid. And so as the steam is cooling, as it goes down and starts to turn into a liquid, it ends up coming down here and dripping and collecting down here. And you do need to prime this with just a little bit more of distilled water. So your final products will have a little bit of distilled water. But what happens is the oil is significantly heavier. And this is your essential oil, and it will come and it'll make a little layer right here. And then you just turn this little spigot real quick to get your little bit of oil. And then in this jar, we'll collect the hydrosol. So even though this looks like a big, and I believe this is a 3 or 5 gallon big flask, even though this looks like a lot of plant material, and it certainly is, it's not going to produce even like a 1/4 of an ounce or an 1/8 of an ounce of essential oil. It's not going to produce very much at all. And some of that's a function of the herbs that are in there. Lemon balm, for example, takes acres of herb to be able to produce even like a half an ounce of essential oil. So we're distilling here primarily just to get that hydrosol there. And so probably over about an hour as this plant material shrinks down and all of the good stuff comes out in the steam, we may be able to fill that jar. Not having done these three herbs together, I don't know how much we're gonna get, but I know the lemon balm doesn't produce much. Rose usually produces quite a bit, and then we've not done Tulsi before, so we'll find out. So that's kind of how our system works and all of the different parts, and hopefully you enjoyed that.